Well, it's that time of year again, where we have the nominees for this year's Game Awards. So let's have some fun and look through and see what got nominated, and I'll give my thoughts on what I think is going to win this year. Let's go view all categories, and here we have all of the categories for this year's Game Awards, and I'll try to go through all of these except for the esports categories, because I don't really know anything about esports. So we'll start off with the Game of the Year. So for Game of the Year, we have A Plague Tale Requiem, Elden Ring, God of War Ragnarok, Horizon Forbidden West, Stray, and Xenoblade Chronicles 3. Now, I think the most surprising one here is definitely seeing Xenoblade Chronicles 3 being nominated for Game of the Year. The others I understand why they're here, but I honestly didn't think Xenoblade would get nominated. Now, as for these nominations, I haven't played any of them except for Xenoblade, and I know that there's no chance that Xenoblade Chronicles is going to win. The Plague Tale series is very critically acclaimed, and a lot of people really do seem to love it, so there's a chance it could win, but I don't think it's going to. And that's mostly because we have Elden Ring here, and I think it's no question that Elden Ring is definitely winning. Unfortunately, I haven't had the time to actually play Elden Ring this year, but perhaps when things start slowing down next year I'll finally get around to it. As for God of War, I definitely see this as another contender, but having not played it yet, I'm not too sure if it could actually win. To me, it does seem a lot like just more God of War 2018, just further refined. And then Horizon Forbidden West is kind of in the same boat as God of War, where it's just sort of a more refined version of the original. And with God of War being a bigger name than Horizon Forbidden West, I do think that if any of these two would win, it would definitely be God of War. And as for Stray, well, it's nice that it's here, but I don't see it winning, even though it is an amazing game, and my girlfriend has definitely loved playing it this year, and I'm sure I'll also get to it eventually, when I just get more time. So personally, I think that it comes down to Elden Ring or God of War, though I do think that Elden Ring is going to win. Now moving on, we have the Best Game Direction, where we have Elden Ring, God of War Ragnarok, Horizon Forbidden West, Immortality, and Stray. And the only game here I have no idea what it was before this was Immortality. I have never heard of this game before. But looking into it, it seems to be like one of those interactive movies where you just sort of make decisions and then watch pre-filmed scenes play out, as it seemed to be filmed with real people rather than being animated. Now, the requirements for this category are awarded for outstanding creative vision and innovation in game direction and design. And because of that, I don't really see either God of War or Horizon Forbidden West winning this category, as to me they seem more like further refinements to their originals, and don't make any significant changes. I mean, I guess Horizon did have water combat, so maybe if Horizon really managed to nail how it feels to fight underwater and doesn't absolutely ruin it like most games end up doing with water combat, there's a chance it could win. But again, this is one where I feel like Elden Ring is going to win. Just the way that Elden Ring managed to blend its open world with the classic Souls-like gameplay that people love, and it actually turned out to be amazing, is enough for it to win Best Game Direction. Though the only other game I could see competing with Elden Ring in this category is Stray. I mean, this was a game that no one expected, and then it turned out to actually be really good. And all the small details they put into making the cat feel alive just elevate this game further, I think. So yeah, to me it's between Elden Ring and Stray for Best Game Direction. Moving on, we have Best Narrative, and we have A Plague Tale Requiem, Elden Ring, God of War Ragnarok, Horizon Forbidden West, and Immortality. And this is one that I don't think Elden Ring really stands a chance in, as the narrative for most of From Software's games tend to be more hidden and you have to really search for it, and I don't think that's what really wins these sort of nominations. I do think there's a chance that Immortality could win, as it is sort of like an interactive movie, so the entire point of the game is to watch it for its narrative. Though knowing nothing about it, it could be terrible, I don't know. But seeing it nominated here gives me a feeling there's a chance it could win, as its entire premise is just telling a narrative. As for Horizon Forbidden West, I'm not too sure what the narrative of this game is, as I only watched my girlfriend play a couple hours of it, but it sort of seemed to be just the enemy from the first game has somehow returned, and I'm not sure how compelling that narrative turned out to be. So I think for this category, it will either go to Immortality, since the narrative is the entire point of that game, or it will either go to God of War or A Plague Tale Requiem, though I haven't played any of these games, so it could really be any one of them. Now for Best Art Direction, we have Elden Ring, God of War Ragnarok, Horizon Forbidden West, Scorn, and Stray. And I think there is no competition here. It definitely has to go to Scorn. The way that the art direction perfectly captures H.R. Giger's artwork is just phenomenal. There is no other game that looks like this on the market. And because of that, I think it needs to win Best Art Direction, as while the others are all amazing in their own right, they just sort of look like the same AAA games we've seen time and time before. Scorn is the only one that actually looks unique and stands out from any other game released this year. So yeah, I definitely think Scorn is going to win this, and the other nominations don't really stand a chance. Now for Best Score and Music, we have A Plague Tale Requiem, Elden Ring, God of War Ragnarok, Metal Hellsinger, and Xenoblade Chronicles 3. And once again, I think that the winner should be fairly obvious, and I would definitely give it to Xenoblade Chronicles 3. As if there's anything that the Xenoblade Chronicles franchise deserves an award for, it's definitely its music. While I'm not familiar with the score for God of War Ragnarok, I am currently playing through the 2018 God of War for the first time, and the score honestly hasn't stood out in any meaningful way. It's not bad by any mean, but there's nothing memorable about it. And since we do have the same composer coming back once again, I'm sure that Ragnarok has a very similar score to the 2018 God of War game. So not that it's bad, I just don't think it manages to stand out enough to win. And as for Elden Ring, I think the consensus seems to be that it has one of the weaker scores of From Software's repertoire, and having listened to it, it definitely doesn't hold a candle to something like Bloodborne. And then A Plague Tale Requiem and Metal Hellsinger, I have no idea what their scores are like, but knowing the Xenoblade series, I do think that it deserves the win in this category. Even though the area themes for Xenoblade are rather underwhelming for this third entry, all the other themes like the battles and event themes are all phenomenal. And because of that, and the way that music is intertwined into the story of Xenoblade Chronicles 3, I think it has the best chance of winning. So now we have Best Audio Design, and the nominees are Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, Elden Ring, God of War Ragnarok, Gran Turismo 7, and Horizon Forbidden West. And I think that the winner of these categories is usually either one of the first-person shooter games or the racing games. For some reason, the jury who votes on this category just loves to give the win to the first-person shooters nominated. So I think it will either go to Call of Duty or Gran Turismo. Moving on, we have the Best Performance. And the nominees are Horizon Forbidden West with Ashley Birch, who played Aloy. A Plague Tale Requiem has Charlotte McBurney, who voices the main character of that game. God of War Ragnarok has Christopher Judge, who voices Dad of Boy. And also Sonny Suljic, who voices Boy himself. And then finally we have Immortality's nominee as Manon Gage. I'm pretty sure that Christopher Judge won Best Performance back in 2018, so I'm not sure if he'll win again. And I think if God of War is going to win for Best Performance, they'll give it to Sonny this time. Though I could also see Manon Gage winning, as it's more of a live-action film that you choose the direction it goes in. And so because of that, I think there's a strong chance that she could win. But overall, I think all of these are great candidates, and I wouldn't be disappointed if any one of them won. Moving on, we have Games for Impact, where we have A Memoir Blue as Dusk Falls, Citizen Sleeper, Endling, Extinction is Forever, Hindsight, and I Was a Teenage Colonist. Sorry, I Was a Teenage Exocolonist. Yeah, I haven't heard of any of these games except for Endling, Extinction is Forever, so I don't really have anything to say on this category. So moving on, we have Best Ongoing, where we have Apex Legends, Destiny 2, Final Fantasy XIV, Fortnite, and Genshin Impact. And again, I don't really play any of these, so I'm guessing it will either be Final Fantasy or Fortnite. Likely Fortnite for Best Ongoing. Then we have Best Indie Game, where there is Cult of the Lamb, Neon White, Sifu, Stray, and Tunic. And honestly, I do feel like Stray is going to win this, as it was also nominated for Game of the Year. Sifu looked like a very interesting premise, where it's a martial arts game where you get older each time you're defeated in battle, and I think you have to try and beat the game before you get too old. And then Tunic looks like a really great Zelda homage, though at the end of the day it is just another Zelda-like game, so I don't see it winning. As for Neon White, I don't know too much about this game. I think it's like a speedrunning shooting game where you have to try and shoot things and get through the course as fast as possible, but I'm not too sure what it is. And Cult of the Lamb is yet another roguelike, and I've heard that the village raising aspect of this game is what people really love, and that the roguelike part is kind of like the lesser experience in this game. It doesn't hold up to great roguelikes such as Hades or The Binding of Isaac, so I'm not sure if it's going to actually win. So I definitely see Stray taking this category. Then mobile games, I don't think anyone really cares about this category. And community support, there's Apex Legends, Destiny 2, Final Fantasy XIV, Fortnite, and No Man's Sky. And once again, I think it will be between Fortnite and Final Fantasy. So innovation and accessibility, this is another category that I haven't really played any of the games except for The Last of Us. And it really did have a very extensive list of accessibility options added to the game, but I'm not really too sure what accessibility options were added to the others to really compare them. So then we have the best VR/AR games, being After the Fall, Among Us VR, Bone Lab, Moss, Book 2, and Red Matter. Now, I'll be honest, I didn't know Among Us had a VR mode until now, and After the Fall and Red Matter I've never heard of before. I do think there's a chance that Bone Lab could win, as it seemed to be like a spiritual successor to the Half-Life franchise, or at least took heavy inspiration from it. And then I've watched my girlfriend play the first Moss, and it looked very interesting. I wasn't aware that a second one came out, but I definitely see this category being between Moss and Bone Lab, and I think Bone Lab will end up taking it in the end. Now for Best Action Game, we have Bayonetta 3, Call of Duty Modern Warfare, Neon White, Sifu, and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And once again, I haven't played any of these. I have a feeling that Bayonetta may win just because Platinum makes such amazing action games, though the premise of Sifu is so unique that it could also end up winning this category, and a lot of people seem to really love Ninja Turtles this year. So I think it's between Ninja Turtles, Sifu, and Bayonetta, though I could also see Call of Duty winning just because it's Call of Duty. Then we have the Best Action Adventure, where we have A Plague Tale Requiem, God of War Ragnarok, Horizon Forbidden West, Stray, and Tunic. And I think this might be the category where they give Horizon Forbidden West the win, either that or A Plague Tale Requiem. Honestly, I think these are all amazing choices, that it's hard to really pick just one of them. I don't think Stray will win, because I think it's going to win in more of the indie categories. So it's definitely between Plague Tale, God of War, and Horizon. But I'm thinking God of War should win in other categories, so they might just give it to Horizon or A Plague Tale, but we'll just have to see. Then we have Best Role-Playing Game, where there's Elden Ring, Live Alive, Pokemon Legends Arceus, Triangle Strategy, and Xenoblade Chronicles 3. And this is another category where I think they may just give it to Xenoblade Chronicles. I don't really think Legends Arceus deserves to be here, as it has far too many technical issues, and while I did have a lot of fun with it, I think that all of these other games just surpass it in almost every way, be it the technical performance of the game or the story. So overall for this category, I do think it will be between Elden Ring and Xenoblade Chronicles, and I think they may just give it to Xenoblade to give it another win. As for Best Fighting Games, there is DNF Duel, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, The King of Fighters, Multiverses, and Sifu. And fighting games aren't really my sort of game, though the one I've definitely heard the most about this year is Multiverses, and because of that, I do think there's a chance it could win, though the premise that Sifu has could also give it a leg up on all these other games. So I think it will be between Multiverses and Sifu. Now, Best Family Game is always interesting to see, because it is almost always exclusively Nintendo games. And this year it seems to be pretty much the same, with Kirby and the Forgotten Lands, LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga, Mario plus Rabbids, Sparks of Hope, Nintendo Switch Sports, and Splatoon 3. Now, I do find it odd that Mario plus Rabbids is here, as it is more of a strategy game, so I wouldn't really consider that a family game, though it's likely only nominated due to Mario. And as for LEGO Star Wars, I don't think this game deserves to be nominated for Best Family Game, especially with one of the requirements being that it's supposed to be the best game appropriate for family play. And honestly, the multiplayer aspect of LEGO Star Wars is absolutely miserable, which is such a shame when the other LEGO Star Wars were amazing split-screen multiplayer games, but they just dropped the ball so hard on this entry. I tried playing this multiplayer with my girlfriend, and player 2 pretty much has nothing to do for a lot of the game, so I really don't think LEGO Star Wars deserves to be nominated here. I do think it will come down to Kirby and Splatoon 3, and since Kirby is a brand new direction for the series, I think that it's definitely going to win, while Splatoon 3 just seems like more Splatoon. Moving on, we have the best sim/strategy game with Dune, Spice Wars, Mario plus Rabbids, Total War, Warhammer 3, 2 Point Campus, and Victoria 3. Now, again, I haven't played any of these games, but I do think that Total War Warhammer will win, as I have heard a lot of amazing things about that, and people seem to be really pleased with how it turned out. As for the best sports/racing, we have 4 glorified casinos and then 1 actual game. So I'm hoping that the actual game manages to win instead of one of these casinos meant to get as much money out of you while releasing the same game over and over for the past how many years now? So yeah, I think Ollie Ollie World is going to win Best Sports Game. Now, Best Multiplayer Game, we have Call of Duty, Multiverses, Overwatch 2, Splatoon 3, and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And knowing the sort of people who get to vote on this, I will say that Call of Duty is likely going to win, or perhaps Overwatch. Now, for content creators, I don't know any of these people, so I'll just skip over that. And the best debut indie, we have Neon White, Norco, Stray, Tunic, and Vampire Survivors. And once again, I think it's going to be Stray who wins this category, though they may just decide to give it to a different indie game, since I do think Stray will also win for Best Indie. So this could be where Tunic wins. I've never heard of Norco or Vampire Survivors before, though. But yeah, I think this will go to Tunic, since I think Stray will win in other categories. Now this next category, I think it's funny. They're doing Best Adaptations. And we have Arcane League of Legends, Cyberpunk Edgerunners, The Cuphead Show, Sonic the Hedgehog 2, and Uncharted. Honestly, I thought Arcane came out last year, but I think it's either going to be Arcane or Cyberpunk. Though seeing as how over-the-top Studio Trigger typically is, I do think that the people voting will lean more towards Arcane, as while I haven't seen Arcane, I think that the people voting for this will appreciate its more grounded tone and less over-the-top style. But yeah, I think it's no competition that it's either between Arcane and Cyberpunk. And I don't even know why Uncharted is here. I thought people hated that movie. But moving along, we finally get to the most anticipated game, where we have Final Fantasy XVI, Hogwarts Legacy, Resident Evil 4 Remake, Starfield, and The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. And I think the only 2 that can be considered to be competing in this category are Starfield and The Legend of Zelda. And honestly, I do see Starfield winning this category. People just seem so excited for this game, though I personally don't really care for it as it's being made by Bethesda, and I don't really like Bethesda games as they're always just way too buggy and broken. I don't get how people can actually play them. But I hope that Starfield turns out great, but personally I think it's just going to turn into a buggy version of No Man's Sky with more realistic graphics. But Tears of the Kingdom could also end up winning, as we have been waiting for this game to come out for years now. And that's all of the categories that I'm going to go over. So what do you think about the nominees for this year? Is there anything that you think deserve to be nominated? And what do you think's going to win? Let me know in the comments, and until next time, thanks for watching.